Look me in the eyes.
Why'd you stop being my friend?
Oliver, a young boy, is busy on his phone, lost in animated shows. One evening, he discovers an unfamiliar file titled Misunderstood Monsters, recommended to him. Curious, he opens it, despite his attempts to close the tab. The story tells of Larry, a lonely monster seeking a friend. As Oliver reads, the atmosphere grows eerie, and his lamp begins flickering. Ignoring his discomfort, he scrolls until the house goes dark. Panicking, he shuts his bedroom door, but it creaks open. Desperate, he blocks it with toys and hides under his blanket, but the door opens again. Sensing Oliver's distress, Sarah uses an app on his phone to help him communicate. He expresses fear about something strange in their home, but Sarah reassures him. The next morning, she tells Marty about Oliver's nightmare. Marty dismisses it, saying nightmares are normal. When Oliver walks in, Marty brushes off the concern and plays with him. At school, Oliver is distracted by thoughts of Larry, the monster from the mysterious file. His classmates notice and mock him for using a phone app to communicate. After class, Mateo invites him to hang out, but leads him to a field where he and two others, Zach and Byron, confront Oliver, taunting him as he struggles to defend himself using the app. Frustrated, Oliver uses the app to call Byron ugly, which only fuels the tension. Enraged, Byron snatches Oliver's phone and throws it into a nearby ditch.
Who's ugly now?
Desperate, Oliver searches for it, but the device remains beyond his reach. Later, Oliver attends his speech therapy session with his mother, Sarah. She expresses concern about the lost phone, but the therapist suggests seeing it as an opportunity. She encourages Oliver to focus on connecting with others rather than relying on the device for communication. Meanwhile, Marty, working as a parking lot booth attendant, finds an old iPad in the lost and found. Thinking it might replace Oliver's phone, he considers bringing it home. As he holds the tablet, the booth's lights flicker and the door swings open. Marty rushes to fix the lights, unaware of the ominous presence forming behind him. That evening, Marty returns home with the iPad and gives it to Oliver as a replacement for his lost phone. The gesture is kind, but tension builds as Sarah expresses her frustrations. She feels sidelined, believing Oliver favors Marty for bringing gifts, while she handles the harder aspects of their son's struggles, like speech therapy. Their argument brews in the background as Oliver explores the iPad, intrigued by its features. While playing with the face recognition tool on the iPad, Oliver is startled when the camera detects an unfamiliar face behind him. He nervously checks his closet but finds nothing. Trying to confirm the presence, he uses a photo filter and spins around the room, but the presence seems to vanish. Still uneasy, Oliver shuts his closet door tightly before going to bed. Later, Sarah gently tucks Oliver in as Marty drives away. The next morning, Oliver uses the iPad to type a message that reads, "Dad is gone." To his surprise, the app responds with a synthesized voice saying, "Yes." Shocked, Oliver types back, asking who the voice is. After a pause, the tablet replies that he is Larry. As Oliver stares in disbelief at the eerie response on his tablet, his mother, Sarah, enters with unexpected news. She plans to arrange a play date for him that evening to encourage socializing. However, Oliver is too disturbed by his encounter with Larry to process her words. He quickly runs from the room, hides the tablet in the sofa, and retreats to his bedroom. Later that night, Sarah organizes a sleepover, hoping to help Oliver bond with others. She invites her friend Jennifer and her son, Byron, along with Mateo and Zach. Though the boys resent Oliver, they reluctantly agree to stay, following their mother's wishes.
Yeah, he's still not talking, but...
Roll-up beds are set up in the living room, but sleep eludes everyone as Oliver anxiously glances toward the sofa, unsettling the others. Frustrated, the boys eventually investigate the spandrel and find the hidden tablet. The mysterious file grabs their attention, and Byron, ever the instigator, begins reading the story aloud. As he narrates, the house lights flicker ominously, adding to the tension. The story reveals Larry as a monster who watches through screens and needs someone to finish the book to cross into the human world fully.
This is Larry.
The house suddenly goes dark, sending the boys into a panic. They try to turn the lights back on, but nothing works. Oliver grabs the iPad and uses its camera to search for Larry. To his horror, the screen shows a shadowy figure in the corner of the room. As it shifts, the boys recoil in fear, but quickly dismiss it as a glitch in the app. Byron, determined to conquer his fear, grabs the iPad and continues reading the story aloud, trying to mock the situation. He confidently strides toward the edge of the room, insisting Larry isn't real. But before he can finish, an unseen force violently slams him against the wall, flipping the room's table. This sudden event marks Larry's full emergence into their world. The boys scream in terror, waking Sarah, who rushes to investigate. Later that night, the terrified boys beg to go home. When Sarah asks what happened, they quickly blame Oliver, calling him a freak. Their parents, confused but concerned, take them home. That evening, Sarah asks Oliver about his nightmare, but he struggles to explain and chooses to calm himself instead. The next day, Sarah returns with new light bulbs to fix the house after the strange events that caused the lights to burn out. As she replaces them, she notices Oliver's iPad and, curious, begins reading the file about Larry. As Sarah reads, the lights in the dining room flicker again. Alarmed, she checks and finds that every light bulb in the house has already been replaced. Returning to the living room, she hears furniture shifting and calls out for Marty, assuming he's home early. When no one answers, her fear intensifies, prompting her to grab a kitchen knife for protection. Suddenly, the iPad's voice breaks the silence, greeting Sarah with a hello and declaring its intention to harm Oliver. Thinking it's a hacker, Sarah panics and rushes to pick Oliver up from school to protect him. Sarah receives a call from her friend Jennifer and decides to visit her instead. There, she learns that Byron has been eerily quiet and refusing to sleep since the sleepover. Concerned for both her son and Byron, Sarah encourages Oliver to cheer Byron up. Oliver puts on SpongeBob, and the familiar cartoon eventually calms Byron, allowing him to break his silence. Byron confesses that Oliver was not at fault for the events of that night. His admission clears Oliver of blame, but the mystery of Larry and his ominous presence remains unresolved, leaving Sarah more uneasy than ever. During the sleepover, Byron, still shaken, shares his terrifying experience with Sarah and Jennifer. He claims that an unseen entity named Larry manipulated the lights and furniture, even trying to choke him. Since Sarah had already read the file on the iPad and witnessed the strange flickering lights herself, she believes Byron's account without hesitation. Determined to leave, Sarah and Oliver begin packing to escape the house. Just as they're about to leave, Oliver picks up his iPad and hears footsteps behind him. Looking through the camera, he sees Larry moving into his room. Cautiously, Oliver enters the room and is horrified to find Larry placing a sponge on his bed and beckoning him closer. Oliver checks under the bed but finds it empty. He picks up the sponge, shoves it into his bag, and leaves with his mother. Seeking refuge at Marty's workplace, Sarah hopes for reassurance, but Marty struggles to believe her story about Larry. When Oliver says that Larry just wants to be his friend, Marty dismisses it, attributing it to stress and suggesting Sarah needs rest. He offers to take Oliver to work with him while Sarah stays behind. Reluctantly, Sarah agrees. At the parking lot, Marty tries to calm Oliver by flipping through the file, assuring him that scary stories aren't real. But as he reads, the lights begin to flicker and eventually shut off completely. Marty reassures Oliver that everything is fine, even as he grabs a tool bag from his truck to fix the lights. While Marty works, Oliver rummages through the tool bag and finds a laser distance meter. Curious, he takes it outside into the parking lot. Pointing the device around, he watches the numbers decrease, signaling something is getting closer. The reading eventually shows something directly in front of him. Frightened, Oliver throws a slime toy into the air, and it sticks to thin air. Before he can process what's happening, Marty swoops in and quickly carries him back inside. Inside the booth, Marty tries to calm Oliver by turning on the iPad's camera to show there's no monster.
See?
Meanwhile, Oliver begins to levitate, unnoticed by Marty. When Marty finally turns around, he sees Larry on the screen. Terrified, he grabs Oliver and rushes home. Back home, Marty, visibly shaken, admits to Sarah that he now believes her. To communicate, Oliver starts drawing, using his artwork to express his thoughts. As they study the drawings, they conclude that Larry is invisible because he exists in a different world, which is why he hasn't been able to take Oliver. Then, they destroyed Oliver's iPad. The next day, Sarah and Marty try to explain the situation to Oliver's speech therapist, but she dismisses their claims, arguing that keeping Oliver away from gadgets could harm his communication progress. At school, Oliver is given a new phone. He tells Byron that Larry won't bother anyone anymore since the iPad was destroyed. However, Byron, sounding nostalgic, mentions that they used to be friends but grew apart after Oliver punched him. At work, Marty discovers that Larry's file has appeared on his phone. As he reads it, the book warns that anyone who prevents Larry from making a friend will die. Once he finishes reading, the lights go out and car horns blare. Hearing heavy footsteps, Marty hides under his desk and uses his phone's camera to search for Larry. When the creature appears, Marty runs to his car, but the streetlights flicker off as Larry follows. Looking through his phone's camera, Marty sees Larry behind his car. Terrified, his phone falls, and when he picks it up, Larry is sitting next to it. At home, Sarah receives a call from the police that Marty has been found by the side of the road and is in the hospital. As she prepares to leave, she hears Larry's breathing on her phone and sees the file on her screen. In panic, she throws the phone away and destroys every phone in the house. However, when she enters the living room, the TV is on, and Larry's voice says he is made of loneliness and won't stop until he finds a friend. Sarah destroys the TV and all the electronics, but the lights continue to flicker. In frustration, she snaps at Oliver to stay calm, upsetting him deeply. Realizing her mistake, she quickly apologizes. Oliver and Sarah step outside, terrified as the neighborhood's lights go out and car headlights blink. With the file's final page read, Larry steps into their world. They hide behind a pillar as Larry searches the house. Hurt by his mother's lies about Byron, Oliver writes a message saying he's ready to let Larry take him. Sarah apologizes and convinces him to stay. As they wait, Oliver speaks his first word, field, drawing Larry's attention. Just before stepping out, Oliver smashes the lights with a baseball bat, causing Larry to disappear again. Oliver leads his mother to the field where his phone was lost, but they forget it, allowing Larry to use it to chase them. They flee into the swamp, where Larry grabs Oliver. In a sacrifice, Sarah takes Larry's hand to protect him, disappearing into his world as Oliver makes eye contact with her. Marty vows to be a better father during a speech therapy session with Oliver. At school, Oliver is friends again with Byron and Mateo. In the end, Marty wakes to find Oliver dancing with thin air. Through the phone camera, he sees Sarah embracing Oliver. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you on the next one. Fear awaits you.